let's go ahead. Welcome on to the show. He was 5 minutes late. It's all right. They had a sale at Cheesecake there on the West Bank, and my man had to go get him a couple of slices. My man Marlon Favorite, big fave. Hello, somebody.
Hello, somebody. Hold on, 5 minutes late. I thought y'all had to make a grand entrance in commercials before I come on. That might have been me then. Okay.
No, we don't. No, we don't. We don't have to do that. We don't. Hey, we don't have. We're like Taylor gets in and out. He's like 2 minutes in, but it's okay, Fave. It is okay. You can blame it on us. We're good teammates. We'll take the blame here. But I wanted to have you on, Fave, and I want to get to some Saints later on. But let's start with LSU. We were talking about the defensive line. You got a lot of new up there. You got a lot of new faces, but you also have some guys that stood up and stood tall as freshmen last year that you're hoping can take that next step. What is that step like when you're on the defensive front? You're a true freshman. You're playing, even if you're a redshirt freshman, you're playing. And what's that jump like in year number two? Because we always talk about it at quarterback and other positions, but that defensive tackle position, it might not be the mental aspect of it that quarterback is. No position really is, but physically, I think it's as hard to play there as anywhere when you're a true freshman.
Oh, you better believe it, and that's what it's really about. Are you that man? That year two is, and you see it in the spring first, you start to get more reps with the first group, maybe continue to mix in with the second group some, and then from there, you'll know where you stand. Well, Hester, our second year at LSU, my redshirt freshman year, your true sophomore year, we had Katrina hit. So it was a lot of focus that year, right? Physically, that was like guys like myself, Tyson Jackson, Tremaine Johnson. That was our first time really getting to feel in the trenches in SEC games, in non-conference games that were a bit more meaningful. So that's how you can test how strong you are. If you can go up against most of these guys, you know this, these were our teammates later on in the NFL, guys from Auburn, guys from Florida that ended up going on to play on the NFL level and be starters. So for you to man up against them as a youngin, let you know where you're going to stand moving forward.
So you also got, look, you got some young guys, and we're talking about, Bro and McKinley, those guys that were freshmen last year that had to do a lot and what their growth is going to be like. What about Jacobin Guillory? I mean, he's been here for 6 years, Big Fave, and he's gone through so many different injuries, and he's missed almost full seasons before, but he does get an extra year, and he is back. Like, what are you expecting from a guy like that?
Well, my expectations for a guy like that, there's your crafty veteran, right? A guy that's been around the program for years, multiple coaches, but he has a lot of trial and error. His story reminds me so much of to switch positions like a John Emery, like a Josh Williams, guys who've battled a lot, whether it was fighting for time or fighting through injuries. So it is going to be very interesting to see how Big Tank Guillory's role is going to be on this team, especially to your point with the emergence of a Bro, of a McKinley. Those guys, for all intents and purposes right now, are locked in as your starters. But at the same token, this is a defensive line that has a decent amount of depth going into a year where LSU expectations are high. So I can envision Guillory's role still being super significant on this front.
It's actually a thing where I feel good. Last year it was all about defensive tackle, but now you've got, two guys that played a ton. You got 2 transfers coming in. You get Tank Guillory back, like you mentioned there. You get 2 freshmen coming in. So you actually feel pretty good about it. And now I kind of turn my attention to edge rusher. You bring in Patrick Payton from Florida State. You bring in Jack Pyburn from Florida. You bring in Butler from Nebraska. Gabe Relaford, somebody that gave you a ton of snaps a year ago. Like, now that's the unit, Big Fave, that's got to kind of go out there and prove itself, because we all know in the SEC, certainly with the quarterbacks you're going to play, you better be elite out there on the edge.
You better believe it, especially in this day of time. I'm looking for these guys to fill those shoes of an Arden Key, a guy like Caleb Von Chasson, like guys who really man that edge that has their size. You look at a guy like Payton, Patrick Payton, who's in Power 5, now Power 4 football. He's made some plays. I want to say last season he might have had 2 or 3 sacks. Those are the pushes we need, and it really makes me think about how this rotation is going to be, even with guys like Rilliford, who is a sophomore, got some significant reps, has that frame. So we may this may be a flash of what we're used to seeing, especially with the familiar face. We bring back '05 season. That was Kyle Williams' last year at LSU. So, his knowledge of like a Bo, but now a more mature group, his knowledge and just a combination of him and Peoples up front working with the ends and the tackles, I think they'll have a decent rotation group that could go in and out of there and really sustain drives. Not necessarily get by, which we saw a lot, guys getting tired because we don't have the depth. Now let's see. We need to see, like back in our day, 2-3 units that could travel. Shoot, we was packing 13, 14 bags sometimes for the D-line.
Yep.
So that says, and that spoke volumes. That kept our offense on the field, making plays. You had little Hester, back when the gloves were a little bit more mini, catching back running down on special teams. We had depth.
Big Faith couldn't even get that one out. All right, Big Faith. So you, BT, Hunt, y'all do the pregame show leading into the call. So you're going to be on that, obviously, for the game against Clemson. And what's going to be your main point of focus? Give me one. Is it a position group? Like, what is it? Like, what is going to be y'all's conversation before boot meets ball there in Clemson, South Carolina?
For me, Harold Perkins. That's where it starts and that's where it ends in the beginning. How is he going to be utilized in that game? We know the best Harold Perkins that we've ever seen was that relentless freshman. How is he going to be used? If you want me to, and the cliche, Hunt knows this very well. I would want to talk about the D-line. I got my West Bank boys over there like Ashton Stanford. Nah, I want to see Harold Perkins all over Clemson's offense. That's what I'm talking about. That's the one thing I'm looking for, how he's going to be utilized.
All right, Big Faye, before we let you go, give us your breakdown. New Orleans Saints training camp. I know you're there in the city. I know you've been eye hustling the Saints. I went out there a couple days ago, and it's not as bad as it seems, but the depth on that team is going to be, in my opinion, the biggest issue that they have. They have to be the healthiest team in the NFL, I think, to have an opportunity. But for you, what are you looking for from the New Orleans Saints this year?
Well, I'm looking for, obviously, one thing, the offense to become high scoring, and how we could do it, whether it's Alvin Kamara running 4 touchdown passes, 4 touchdown runs, or maybe catching a pass, or our defense shutting it down. Now, of course, with the Saints, I'm going to go to the D-line. Shouts out to another LSU Tiger, Dwayne Bowe. Terry Joseph over there, too, West Bank in here. But what I'm really going to tell you is the fact that they went to the 3 down lineman look, you have more rotation. You have guys that I think, just alone, Devon Gottschall at the nose and then rotating in after him as a Saunders. Those are 2 big nose guards that can hold point. You could use Gottschall at the 4 too. You have Cam rolling in, Brzee on the edge, and then you have a fresh group of guys. So I think what Coach Staley has done he's playing into the strength of the team. I spoke with Isaiah Foskey. That's one thing he said, hey, this is the defense I came from. Here's a guy who broke the sack record at Notre Dame, but he couldn't find a spot on the team last year because I think we were trying to put a circle in a square. Staley comes in, Coach Staley comes in and refreshes everything on that defensive line. Now Cam's playing in the defense he played in college. So I think we will be able to utilize more of our skilled players, and the defense may actually be better.
All right, Big Fave. Keep doing your deal, man. Keep training the youth down there. I look forward to seeing you in Tiger Stadium here very soon. I'm sure we'll catch up before then.
Man, let's do it, brother. Another year, man. Hello, somebody. Have a good one. Thanks for having me, y'all.